This week we're finishing The Right Thing to Do by LovesBitca8, otherwise known as Slutty Muggle Clothing.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the book pod where we celebrate the heroines we love
and roast the ones we don't. We'll be your TBR FGMs.
Fairy godmothers.
And find you the best 5-star reads, the spiciest romance, and save you from the overhyped DNFs.
So grab your favorite drink and get cozy. Welcome to Season 3. All right, readers.
Things devolve.
They get
or get wrapped up.
Oh. Or unwrapped.
Suggestive titles.
You have to earn this section of the book.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a slog a little bit.
What were your thoughts on the smutty bits? Because I got to the point that I'm like, this is a lot of smut.
I didn't need that much.
Yep, same. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Because it was so clean up until this point. It felt like overkill.
Yeah.
Like I needed like 3 scenes. And that's all it was.
Yeah, because there was a lot. So before getting there, Hermione starts her classes. She obviously feels inadequate. I wouldn't really know what spoon to use an 18-course meal. I get it. But step in Pansy Parkinson, who is still friends with Draco, but now she runs her own fashion line and she's trying to launch it. And she's like, I want to mix, Muggle high fashion with wizarding societal ideals. And so I want to introduce a new line for the modern business witch. And Hermione, I'm going to give you a bunch of clothes. God, my fucking dream. I'm going to give you prearranged outfits, one per day. And then you just show up to the office. And whenever anyone asks, you say you're wearing Parkinson. Love that. Gucci. They obviously have a photo shoot to launch Malfoy Consulting Group. She's dolled up like a model. They take a bunch of awkward pictures.
She's a personal makeup artist, a hairdresser.
Yep. And it's happening in the middle of the office. Casual. I get it, but it's also kind of okay. So that happens. And then Hermione and Draco go. Hermione's first project is to try to get equal rights for werewolves, basically. And so they have this first meeting with werewolf, a pack of werewolves or something. And immediately this guy starts making insinuations about why Hermione joined in with Malfoy Consulting Group. He's like, do you realize that he's just using all of the goodwill that you got during the Wizarding War to improve his own standing in society? And she's like, that's crazy. I kind of get it, but I'm trying to do a good thing and he's funding me to do a good thing.
This was annoying, Hermione. I didn't like this aspect, but whatever.
Yeah, because he is kind of using you.
He's got $1 million company he's got to run. So.
Yeah, he's gonna try to do whatever it takes to make it seem good. And so obviously it makes Hermione go into a downward spiral or whatever, because immediately she's working at the bookshop. Draco comes in and he's kind of huffy already because of this little fight they had with the werewolves. And Draco says that she's wearing slutty muggle clothes.
Yeah, which is it's ripped jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
He's it's barely covering you. They're used to these bulky robes. He's also mad that she's still working. He's don't I pay you enough?
He's very controlling in these.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he's inserting himself. And then, oh, whoa.
Oh,
skip past that. Sorry. Because we also have this tidbit where somewhere during Hermione's conversations with the other people that have been hired on to MCG, she realizes that this other guy was like, oh, I was so excited to work with you. As soon as Draco told me that you were hired with a group, I for sure wanted to sign on too. And she's like, wait a second, when was that? And it happened before Hermione agreed to come work for the company. So she's like, oh, maybe there was actually some substance to that werewolf guy when he was saying that I was just brought on to be the goodwill.
Well, and then Draco has a line much earlier where he's explaining to Hermione that anyone can be seduced. Woof! And he's explaining it in the context of investors, and he's trying to show Hermione how society works and how you have to play these dynamics against each other. And so he says that to her, and she remembers that in the scene, oh, I was seduced by Draco to take this job.
Yep. And then we awkwardly get Hermione proposing another charity project for some kind of something during a board meeting. And Draco says, girl,
no.
We already have this one thing that's like a big money suck. Like, why would we start another one within the same quarter? Because like we only have so much money. We're just starting. And she's like, well, you didn't even like read my proposal. And he's like, well, maybe we could like push it off. And she's like, you're a dick.
That's pretty much how it was. A very childish kind of corporate exchange.
Yeah. And so she like redoes the thing and tries again. And it basically gets to the point that Hermione's like, I'm going to resign. Like, I was obviously like brought to this company under false pretenses. Like, I want to do good work and you're telling me no, and you're not even like, helping me. They have this big old face off, and obviously they have a makeout session.
It was wonderful. Like, I don't think we could do it justice, but just there's so much tension and buildup, hundreds of pages of buildup to this one scene.
Yeah. And you can tell it's one of those like, she just finally wormed down of being like so aggravating, and he's like, God, shut up. Kiss scene. It was so cute.
Because what you find out later, so this is not really a spoiler because we're finishing the book this episode, but we find out at the very end that Draco created this whole position, this whole department in his consulting form just to hire Hermione, just to give her a job.
No.
Like, she had a job. She didn't need one, but he wanted her to be close. He wanted to do this for her so she would have like an avenue for her righteous causes, which would always get, shot down at the ministry.
Yeah.
So when she's accusing him of like, oh, you just need me to get more money and like get investors, and he just did this for her.
Oh. Also, imagine how like irritated he would feel though that she's making all those accusations.
This is where it comes back to all those miscommunications and assumptions that can be cleared up very easily by mature characters, but we don't get that at all.
Yeah.
But we have this moment during the makeout session where it gets a little too close to finishing, and
yes,
and Hermione, very in a roundabout way, says, "Hey, do you remember the auction and those 5,000 extra galleons?"
And Draco's obviously like,
"Why are you bringing the fuck this up right now?
I'm a little bit busy."
And she's like, "Well, you would have needed the 5,000." And he doesn't process it right away.
I mean, like, why would you?
Yeah. And then he does. And he immediately stops, like, oh my God, we're stopping right now. And it's pure panic.
But also, like, what a gentleman. He's like, I don't want your first time to be in the middle of an office after an argument.
But of course, Hermione interprets him stopping as he doesn't want me anymore.
Girl, God. But after that, we get another chance to dress up all cute with the Valentine's ball. And Hermione wears this super fancy gold dress, basically. And then she has a moment of like her and Malfoy's or Draco's like outfits match, and she's like, oh my God.
This was such a billionaire moment.
Oh yeah,
because they're at work, and Draco's like, I'll see you at the Valentine's Day ball, and she's like, well, no, I wasn't planning to go. Was that mandatory? And he's like, you're fucking going. Like, what are you wearing? And she's like, well, I have my New Year's Eve dress. And so he looks at her, and then he gets on the flu, and he calls the designer where she got that dress from, and he orders her another dress in French. I'm like, oh, that's a
Didn't know I found that hot, but I do.
Yeah.
There we go. And so they have these matching outfits, obviously. But then she has a moment of like, oh no, is there another girl that has a gold dress? It's like, no, you dumb bitch. Like, it's obviously you. And so they fully fund both of her charity projects. And I love this because it's kind of like a callback to what Lucius expected of like Lady Malfoy and like, the wife of his heir, is that you can like go about these very fancy society things and you can like help fund your charity projects as like, a woman of means. And all of a sudden she just has a couple conversations and all of her like desires are fulfilled. Everybody's like throwing money at her and she's like, ooh.
It's a very subtle transformation. Like, you don't pick up on it, but like, oh, those classes are actually helping Hermione. And she willingly asks for help getting ready, like hair and makeup. She starts to recognize like, oh, this Raiders, this is not you have to wear have your hair done and wear makeup. But like, this is Hermione's like, I don't know, progression from like previous, what's the word?
For
her like just growth as an individual, like recognizing herself and like, just these preconceived notions she has about wearing makeup or doing her hair or like these social graces. Yeah. Because she was biased against them. Like, oh, those pure-blooded like elites, like that's not me.
Yeah. Because I feel like she realized the situation kind of like not requires it, but it's like you kind of want to get like all dolled up. And she's like, I kind of like it. Like, let's do it. It apparently works in her favor though, because her and Draco sneak out at some point for something. They find themselves in a room together.
And they do it.
Yes, they do. Very aggressively. She sneaks out afterwards, and we have a little interaction with Ginny where she's like, hey, Ginny, like, wake up. And Ginny's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, can you teach me the contraceptive?
Plan B
I
spell.
know. They basically use Plan B. Which yeah, maybe, yeah.
Great for sex education in our romantasy novel.
Honestly, you have to take it before. Anyways, this obviously devolves into kind of a misuse of business funds because their lunch meetings turn into
A different kind of lunch.
Yeah, lunch rendezvous.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they obviously start having sex at every opportunity until Draco finds out about the lessons.
He loses his shit about the lessons.
Yeah.
But can I just,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't occur to me until just now.
Yeah.
Hermione's all self-righteous about the right reasons why she was hired, but she has no qualms about using work time to bang her boss.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she also signed a whole contract that said she wouldn't date anyone in the office.
It's,
I mean, it's very 19-year-old of her. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yeah, but she's in the middle of one of her lessons, and then Draco shows up, and he's like, things are not good. And he's like, why the fuck are you doing these lessons? And she's like, well, like, I'm trying to do it so you get your inheritance. And Draco's like, I don't care. He can go shove his money up his ass. And then I feel like they, like, come out okay from that, misunderstanding moment or whatever. But his parents don't, because the headlines the next day is that Narcissa Malfoy is filing for divorce from her husband.
yeah, it's,
Oopsie.
but after that, Draco invites Hermione to come stay the night with him at his mom's house.
Yeah.
So, like, they have dinner with Narcissa. She goes to the library and everything. And Draco's like, would you like to stay with me tonight? And Hermione's like, well, wouldn't that be weird? He's like, it's an entire separate wing of my palace. It'll be fine. So she spends the night, but like halfway through the night, after they've had some fun a little bit, they're lying in bed, and she lets slip that she viewed his memories in the ministry. And rightfully, he kicks her ass out.
Yeah.
That is such a violation of privacy.
Yeah. And it's so sad because, like, they have their fun time, and she mentions it, like, right before falling asleep. And then she wakes up a couple hours later, and he's not in bed. And he's like, what the fuck were you talking about? And she's like, oh, no.
It is very, very sad. This is the third act breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to have it.
Yeah.
And so she goes home, and she's just distraught because she fucked up and she didn't admit to it. And he found out.
Yep. Yeah. And things are awkward between them for, like, however long, until Lucius is stabbed in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so Draco runs off to see him at St. Mungo's, and Hermione goes too, because she's like, I care about these people. I want to know what's going on. Draco obviously has a breakdown when he finds out that his dad is okay. And he's like, well, I kind of wanted him to die. And it's like, wow, you maybe need to seek a therapist.
Exactly.
But cool. And so they end up back together. And then we kind of get some, like,
It's a little fuzzy.
yeah.
After the like breakup session, there's this confrontation with Blaze. Is that how you say his name?
Mhm.
So he's a coworker, and he's kind of that fun, kind of flirty coworker. But he confronts Hermione in the office. He's like, "Hey, like, you need to be honest with me. Are you in it for the long haul, or you just want these, fun lunch dates with Malfoy? Because he's here, he feels for you, and he doesn't deserve to be treated like a little secret, hidden project."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "No, I love him." Actually, I thought he was the one who wanted to keep this secret.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your, like these assumptions about each other, which again could have been resolved way earlier on. And this is kind of the happy makeup where she like confesses to Draco that, I love you. I want to be married to you. I want to have a family with you.
Very inappropriately in the middle of a board meeting in front of everyone else.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I kind of blurred that piece out.
Yeah.
But they end
Happy
up
ending.
Yeah, happy ending. They're together, and that's about it. And we get this kind of cute epilogue. That was a
Mhm.
nice call out.
Yeah. Are you going to talk about
You
it?
talk about
it. It's like 2 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Hermione goes to Azkaban again. She's visiting Lucius, and she gives him a list. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, these are my stipulations, requirements for the behavior of my son's grandfather. And it's like, oh.
And that's it. That is the only epilogue you get, which I adored. That
It
was
was
pretty
cute.
cute.
Yeah. It was silly. It felt like a teen movie. I loved it more than I thought I would. it maybe doesn't stand up to rigorous analysis.
No, probably not.
But it was cute for what it was.
And it is one of those stay up and keep reading books. Like, it will keep you hooked and keep going. Like, there's just enough. And I think partially that's because it really does not separate Hermione and Draco for too long. A lot of books, I think, kind of die off when you separate your two main characters and they go off on their separate arcs. And like, I'm just waiting for them to get back together again, because that's what drives a lot of these romantic subplots, which is like, oh, I want the dialogue between these two characters. Like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they? And that's this entire book is will they, won't they.
Wow, yeah. Because I would say that happens more so than Twilight, because I feel like I struggled through the second book when they're not together. That's exactly what you're talking about. Interesting.
So this was The Right Thing to Do by LovesBitca8. Our next book is... What is our next book? Julie Soto.
Oh, yeah. We're doing another one.
Yeah. So same author, but actual published book from her.
Not another love song. Something to do with a cellist.
Two cellists. One's like a rock cellist and one's like a classic tone, like Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Girl, you just... Oh, no.
Yes. Oh. So that's the next book, readers. Yeah. Let's hope it's good, because neither one of us have read it yet.
Yeah, so if it's not good, you're going to have to be on the struggle bus with us. So, woo!
From our shot to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. Like what you've been hearing? Check out the Spice Archive at notanotherheroine.com to see all of our reviews and ratings. And if you'd like to support our growing library, find us on Patreon and get access to exclusive bonus content.
If you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.